Welcome to Midnight Shadows, where the strange and terrifying become reality. Imagine this. It's a late night in the 1980s, and your TV is your only escape from the unsettling silence. Suddenly, something hijacks the screen. Your signal is interrupted by eerie, unknown broadcasts, chilling images you can't explain. In just a few short moments, your world is turned upside down by a disturbing face, Max Headroom. This wasn't just a glitch. It was one of the most infamous broadcast signal intrusions in history. Who was behind the mask? Why did they choose this terrifying method to instill fear? And more importantly, what really lurked behind the electromagnetic waves that night? Join me as we dive into the haunting tale of the most mysterious signal intrusion ever recorded. Asterisk. Imagine this scenario with me for a moment. It's a dark, rainy night in the late 80s. You don't have the internet, but you do have something that brings you daily information, entertainment, and some kind of false sense of community. Your television. The big TV sits in your family's living room, glowing its warm, familiar glow. Your family has all headed off to bed, but you've snuck down to catch some late-night television. You have no idea what you might find, but the world of late-night television feels so much more exciting than what you are used to seeing during the day. The safe, sanitized entertainment your parents let you watch. So, you settle down, wrap a blanket around yourself, and begin flicking through the channels. This wasn't as exciting as you had expected. Nothing is really grabbing your attention. You stop on a repeat of an old science fiction show. You aren't particularly interested in it, but it's better than going to bed, right? You sit there, watching the show, your eyes growing heavier as time passes, when all of a sudden, something breaks you out of your sleepy haze. The image of your show starts to flicker, fading in and out. The sound took place on a cold November night in 1987. Just a boring night, like any other night. The station was playing its segment, recapping the day's sporting news. Little did they know that they were about to become part of a mystery that, to this day, remains unsolved. Suddenly, viewers of Channel 9 all around Chicago saw their screens turn black for 10 seconds before their signal returned with a bizarre new look. On screen was someone in what appeared to be a mask of the popular character Max Headroom. He was dancing around on screen, swaying from side to side, while the metallic background behind him twisted and contorted. The only sound that could be heard was a loud, distorted buzzing. This surreal image must have been extremely disorienting. And while on paper, the imagery itself doesn't seem to be all that disturbing. It's a combination of this person being somewhere they shouldn't be and the uncanniness of the entire scenario that makes the whole incident so unnerving. This first incident, accompanied by a buzzing, made the situation all the more unsettling. There, at least in this first instance, appeared to be no message. It was just there. Someone had hacked into the television network and decided to send this image out to thousands of people, and the audience at home would have had no idea why. The staff in the WGN control room were in a state of panic, running around trying to regain control of their network. The unknown hackers managed to keep their intrusion going for just under 30 seconds before the station was able to change their frequency that was heading out to the station's transmitter, and the audience was quickly back to their regularly scheduled broadcast. Sports newscaster Dan Roan said, as he returned to the air, "If you are wondering what's happened, so am I." But this twisted version of Max Headroom wasn't done with the population of Chicago yet. Just 2 hours later, on a local PBS station, WTTW, a broadcasting of an episode of Doctor Who was about to be hijacked. The show was interrupted, and the familiar face of Max Headroom once again filled the screen. But this time, the audience could hear him. What followed was a seemingly random series of comments from the distorted voice of Max, making references to a sportscaster from the earlier station's hijack, quoting the real Max Headroom's lines from the recent advertising campaign for New Coke, and singing a cartoon-themed song. But then, the intrusion took an even stranger turn. Max started screaming that they were coming to get him, then bent over while an unknown second person began spanking him with what appeared to be a fly swatter. The heavily distorted voice of Max shouted for mercy before the image was once again interrupted. and the viewer was returned to Doctor Who. This time, the hijackers were able to stay on the air for over a minute. If you listen to what Max is saying, this entire thing appears to be nothing more than an anarchic prank. But the sheer randomness and unexpected nature of the hack is what makes the entire incident so scary. Both the FCC and the FBI launched investigations into the incident, and in recent years, many internet sleuths have had their turn at trying to track down the elusive hijackers. But despite some interesting leads that unfortunately went nowhere, to this day, 35 years later, no one is any wiser as to who this group of television hackers were or what their motivations may have been. Chapter